Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle D, or Coach Danni D, and I help women to create luxury brands by creating processes and tightening their branding. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease and enjoy your life. My happy space is spending as much time as humanly possible in my pajamas, and I want to help others to find their happy space while still running profitable businesses. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am your host, Coach Danni D, and I'm always here trying to help creative women find that space of work-life balance where you are enjoying your business, enjoying your life, just having joy in general. And I always love to bring on guest experts that can help us in our businesses, but also help us to think about things in a way that makes our lives easier. So today I have Crystalynn Shelton, and she is here to talk to us about QuickBooks. And QuickBooks is one of those things as entrepreneurs, either we have it and we may not be using it to its capacity, or we don't have it, but we know we need to have it. And we're hesitant because, for whatever reason, numbers scare us. The idea of it scares us. So we have a kind, caring, and gentle professional here to help us with this process, give us some tips, and just talk us through it. And hopefully by the end of this, you will be ready to start tipping your toes, and you'll get some insight to help you with that. So just a little bit of a background on Crystalynn Shelton. She is a licensed CPA and a QuickBooks Top 100 Pro Advisor. She's helping startups and small businesses and million-dollar companies alike take control of their finances through accounting software training and consulting. So, good hands. You're in good hands. She's familiar with small businesses, but she also is working with the big guys. So she is I don't know the process, but I can assume to become a top 100 pro advisor, she got her papers, got her credentials. So, Crystalynn, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself, about your journey, and how you came to be a top 100 pro advisor? How did you just come to the world of accounting?
Yeah, so I am so excited to be here today. And so, yeah, just a little bit about me is I'm, a Texas girl. I grew up and was raised in Houston. And then I moved to Dallas to go to school at UTA. So I graduated with an accounting degree from the University of Texas at Arlington. And it was really back in high school where I decided, believe it or not, to become a CPA. When I was a sophomore in high school, I took a class, a record keeping class, and it was taught by a gentleman who was a CPA and he had his own firm. And so by the end of that class, I was determined that one day I was going to have my own CPA firm as well. He was really inspiring, and I really enjoyed just the process of learning, bookkeeping at such a young age. And so after college, I decided, why take a break from studying? I might as well dive in and start studying for the CPA exam while I still, in that study mode. So I would say the first year after I graduated from college, I studied for the exam, took the exam and passed it. And then after that, I obviously earned the CPA, and then I landed a job with Paramount Pictures.
Okay.
So I probably should back up. When I graduated, I was offered a job that was located in Los Angeles. So, of course, Texas girl, had never been, to California. I was like, yes, I'll go. And at the time, that company, Texaco, moved myself and my fiance at the time to California.
Okay.
So I worked for them for a couple years and then landed the job with Paramount Pictures. And so worked for Paramount Pictures probably for about 5 years, 70-hour work weeks,
Oh.
7 days a week. And it
Ooh.
was at that point that I was like, I'm not going to be able to make it. Like, I'm going to reach burnout if I keep this
Yes.
pace up. Yeah, I mean, and so I started looking for other opportunities. And what ended up happening is they put me on a project where they wanted to upgrade the accounting system.
Okay.
And so I was on that project giving my input because I was actually over the accounting department for my division. And then they said, Crystalynn, you might as well train your staff because you know what they do and you speak their language and can help them make that transition from the old system to the new system. So I said, okay, as if I don't have enough work to do, but sure. Right. And what ended up happening, oh my goodness, I loved the process of putting together training materials and teaching
Awesome.
my staff. I was kind of like bit by the training bug, as I say. I was just like, this is what I wanted to do. And so, yeah, I did some research. I found out that QuickBooks was the most popular software for small businesses. And so I wanted to move away from the corporate guys and move more into the small business arena. So I got certified in QuickBooks back in 2009. And it's just been amazing, just the opportunities that opened up after I did that.
That is so awesome. And I love to ask people about their journey into entrepreneurship because
Mm-hmm.
there's always that that story of there was the before. And sometimes when we're in that before, we're like, why are we here? Lord, why did you put me here? Like, what is happening?
Yes.
But then when you get to that after, you realize that before was the thing to get you ready for
Oh
your
my
next
goodness. It
steps.
was the preparation. It was total preparation for, the next chapter for me. At first, I thought I made a mistake by getting into the accounting field because I was like, is every job going to be like this where I have no life?
Right.
And so obviously I found out that wasn't true, but I just didn't know it at the time. And so, yeah, you're totally right. It was all preparation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. And I love what you said about, is it going to be like this? Because I think we are so conditioned to believe that to be successful, it has to be, you know, all consuming. That we
Yes.
have to that's the only way to success. And I, try very hard to break people of that thought process because
Mm-hmm.
you can work really hard and
Yep.
never quite make success. And there's some people that work really hard and make success. Not saying that, there's
Right.
anything wrong with that. Everybody has their own way, but you can also honor yourself and your time and
Mhm.
your self-care and still be successful in what you do.
Yes. Yes. And I'm a firm believer of work smarter, not harder.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And and also just finding your own path because you
Yeah.
knew accounting was the thing you wanted to do, but
Right.
it was through the process of trial and error of finding that what, I really love training people. And you may not have
Yeah.
come to that had you not had that experience, but we all have our own road to travel, and sometimes it's
Hmm.
just being open and being mindful of what's going on around you, because you may
Yeah.
stumble upon it. I think a lot of us have kind of stumbled upon what our real calling is.
Exactly. Yep. That's so true. Absolutely.
So I think that that's really, really beautiful. So I'm gonna just dive into this question. What would you say to those who have a fear of numbers? Because we know it's out there.
Right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
after people have to take math in school, it's like, you
Right.
ask a simple question and they're just like, nope, not trying to do it, not trying to hear it. And
Right. Right.
it's just so terrifying. Like, so what would you say to those who have that fear?
What's interesting is I had that fear, believe it or not, before I took that record keeping class in high school. I was a straight A student in every subject except math. And it was frustrating. Algebra, pre-calculus, you name it, I could not get better than a B. And sometimes I was teetering on a C, if I just keep it real. And so after I took that class, I realized, and this is what I tell my clients today, that managing your books, doing bookkeeping is not the math that you had in school. It's basic addition and subtraction, and to be honest, the accounting software does the heavy lifting. So, you don't have to have an accounting degree or any type of experience in bookkeeping to manage your books as a business owner. But what you do need is someone to explain things to you in layman's terms. And that's what I find is there's a lot of complicated, accounting jargon out there, if you will, that people use. And when you start using that type of terminology, the eyes glaze over and people tune you out as they should, because they don't know what you're talking about. And I get it. I totally get it. And so when I meet with a new client, I typically use really simple and easy to understand language that makes sense. And then I try to tie it in with a real world example, or examples of what I'm talking about to kind of bring it home. And that's the same thing I do in my books and in my online courses, is just keep it simple. My assumption is that you don't have any knowledge of accounting or bookkeeping, because in reality, that's most business owners. They don't.
And I absolutely love that, because that's, the philosophy that I follow, like in my trainings and my courses, because
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times people assume that because someone's a business owner that they have some sort of background in business. Most people
Right.
have a thing that they're good at and they
Yeah.
decided to monetize it. And you know, some people, will say, oh, well, people don't want to learn. It's not that people don't want to learn. It's that a lot of it, like you said, is the glazed over eyes. A lot of it goes over people's heads
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because, you're speaking in the language of your industry,
Right.
but it doesn't make sense to the
Yeah.
average person. I mean, you know, outside of coaching, I'm a balloon decor artist, and a lot of my listeners are from that community. And we have words and terminology that we know,
Right.
but when we get requests in, everybody's like, I want an arch. And I'm like, that's not an arch. Like, that is not like, you want this thing, but that is not an arch. But like, I don't know if
Right.
you watch the Marvel movies, Groot says, I am Groot. That's how I feel about the word arch at this point. Like,
Right.
everybody uses it for everything that they want. And I'm
Thing.
like,
Yeah.
and I look at a picture and I'm like, okay, well, that's an organic garland, or that's a, bouquet, or that,
Right.
but again, I'm using these words every day. The
Mm-hmm.
customer is,
Exactly.
has a limited vocabulary of the balloon world. And so the
Right.
same way when we go into business education, you know, I know accounting words. But once you start getting kind of
Mm-hmm.
technical, I'm like, the what
Right.
and the who now? Like,
Right.
tell me where to
Exactly.
carry the two. What I got.
Exactly. Yep.
But I think it's beautiful to have people that come from that perspective, because
Right.
a lot of people, a lot of people don't have that patience and don't have that. Honestly, to me, that's the mark of a great teacher.
Right.
because everyone learns differently, and your job as a teacher is to help understand. And
Right.
so it's not about
Exactly.
how smart you are, how much information you know. If
Yeah.
understanding is not met, then the job is
Exactly.
not met. If that person is still walking away feeling defeated, and then you haven't met
Hmm.
the job. So I think that that's, such a beautiful perspective. And I hope that for the listeners, if you have been hesitant about this, that is
Right.
comforting to you to know you got somebody now that is
Yep.
there and is able to, speak to you where you are, not over your head.
Exactly. And one of the other things that's real important for me to help my clients to be comfortable, because at the end of the day, finances is personal. People
Mhm.
are opening up their financial lives to me. And the last thing I want them to feel is embarrassed or ashamed because they don't understand the technical terms that are used in bookkeeping or accounting. It's not your job to understand that. It's your job to know your books, and it's my job to help you learn how to do that. And so, yeah, absolutely.
No, and that's an important point too, because you went to school for this. You got a degree in this. You got certified in this
Exactly.
on
I
top of the
should know
degree.
this.
Like, so like there should not be that expectation, that
Exactly.
all things. As an entrepreneur, they're specialized fields for all of these different things. So you need to
Hmm.
know enough to know what you're doing, but also
Right.
know that there's professionals out there that can help you get the rest of the way.
Exactly. I mean, and even for me, when it comes to marketing, I my eyes glaze over when I hear terms click through and all these different terms that are used in social media. I am just like clueless. And so that's why I depend on my marketing assistant to know that stuff and know it well, because I don't know that stuff, and thankfully I don't have to know it to the degree that she does for it to get done.
But absolutely, like again, like we have talents, but we also have community,
Yes.
and the combination will get us where we need to go.
That's
Because
right.
there's some things, no matter how many ways you say it, my husband's an engineer. I'm a creative. He's an engineer. Now I have an analytical side. But
Right.
once he starts talking his engineering talk, I'm like, and so then what? Oh,
Exactly.
that is interesting. Like I don't like
Right.
I don't have anything. Like I'm like I don't know. I don't know. Like I
Right.
just don't know.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I don't have to know. He knows, and
Mhm.
that is just, the beauty of having professionals. And that's
Yeah.
why we need to lean on professionals more, because
Yeah.
we do have this kind of, I gotta do it all and, bootstrap it and all that. We have these thoughts,
Yep.
but these
Absolutely.
thoughts can keep us stuck.
Yeah.
They can keep us
Absolutely.
stuck because there's only so much time you have as a professional.
Yep.
There's
It's
only so
true.
much time you have. And so, for me, I can always make more money, but I can't make more time.
Right.
So to
Yep.
me, if somebody can save me time, I
Right.
jokingly say I have left the DIY portion of my life. I'm doing some spring cleaning and I see all of these different, paints and glitters and all these different things that I, have from that
Right.
phase of my
Right.
life. And now when I see the little videos and they're making something cute, I'm like, that is so cute. They should have a link at the end of where I could go buy that.
Exactly.
The same is true of professional services. Like, why are
Yeah.
you fighting yourself to try to, figure out this thing that you don't, it's not your comfort, it's not your skill set.
Right.
when there's somebody out there that can help you. Like,
Exactly.
just
Yep.
putting that out there in the universe.
Yep.
But before we move from the concept of fear, the other thing I want to talk about along with that fear, because I know some of the fear is just math.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But some of the fear is, as long as we don't know the numbers,
Right.
we don't have to deal with what they look like.
With reality.
We can keep undercharging because we're not really looking at the fact that we're not making
Right.
enough, and we can keep
Mm-hmm.
shuffling around.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, I find power in the numbers.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely power in the numbers. And just to give you an example, if you're using an accounting software, QuickBooks, or an accounting software, whether it's QuickBooks or something else, and you're keeping track of your income and expenses, having the ability to be able to log into the software and generate a report in a matter of minutes is really empowering. That information is going to help you as a business owner make better decisions. And it can also help to save you money. So let me give you an example. There's a company that I used to work for, and every year they would go in and negotiate a contract with their biggest supplier that they spent money with. And so each year they would come to me and ask me to generate a report that shows how much money they spent with all of their suppliers, right? So we could take a look to see maybe the top 3 suppliers are spending the most money with. You can use that data to go into a meeting like that when you're negotiating a contract, and you can negotiate better pricing, discounted pricing based on your volume. Okay. So if you can decrease your expenses, that's going to increase your profit. That's a big deal.
Yes.
Because the numbers don't lie. And that vendor, when you go into that meeting and they see that report, and they're like, oh, you spent that much with us last year? Oh, okay. And they know there's competition over here that would gladly take your business.
Right.
So what are they going to do? They're going to work with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's just
Definitely.
one example.
And the example that I was thinking about as well, because I work with a lot of creatives, and
Mhm.
we can, we get that shiny object syndrome, and so we saw so and so over here offering this, and so now we're offering this. But when you look at those reports as well, you can see
Yeah.
what is selling.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
maybe you're investing a lot of money in something that's not getting you that return. Maybe you need to drop that item. Maybe, it might not be the most razzle dazzle thing that you have, but it
Right.
might be the old reliable that is bringing in the bulk of your
Yep.
income. And
Right.
so you can really see, is this item pulling its weight? Is this,
Yep.
worth me to continue to pursue?
Right. And that's a great point. You can run a sales report that will show you the top selling items and even the top customers that are buying from you. Right. So even with a report like that, where you see customers at the top and then you see customers who aren't buying that much from you or aren't on the report at all because they aren't buying anymore, you can actually create a marketing campaign and send them an email that says, hey, here's a coupon to purchase blah, 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 just to get them in the door. So there's all sorts of things that you can do to generate business. And like you said, maybe you do need to discontinue a product that has had 0 sales in the last, year or 6 months or what have you. Yep, absolutely.
And then when you were saying about the customers, what just jumped out to me is just another example. Like, for instance, like at the end of the year, I like to, do something for my top clients. But
Yes.
even throughout the year, there's some clients that I might, been a little bit on my minimum order, or,
Mm-hmm.
that I give a extra allowances to because of what they bring in. So, if
Absolutely.
you're bringing in these big accounts, if you have something small you need today, I'll go ahead and do that for you.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe somebody's not bringing in what you thought they was bringing in, but they still asking for, they're still calling on
Exactly.
favors. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Like,
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
but
Yeah.
all of that information is in your numbers. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't, if you're not, aware of those numbers, then you don't know,
Right.
what's going
What's
on there.
happening. Yeah. Because a lot of times, like you said, you think someone's a top customer. And then when you look at the report, you're like, oh, not so much,
Right.
huh?
Look, you bought a bunch of stuff, but
Right. It's been a minute.
right. But you keep going to that dollar aisle, like
Mhm.
so it's so much power in the numbers, and I
It
get it
really
because I've been
is.
in
It
that
really
position
is.
of being fearful of, maybe it's not, what I think it is, or whatever that
Yeah.
fear is. I
Yeah.
challenge everybody, get over that fear, because
Yeah.
when you know what you're looking at, you can make better decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And if you have someone that's managing your books for you, don't be afraid to ask that person to explain the numbers to you or explain the reports. You really should have a regular meeting with that person monthly, would be my suggestion, when you're sitting down, going over these key reports that we're talking about and asking your questions. And if you got someone that is not willing to do that, you need to find another bookkeeper or accountant. Because I know there are people out there, they just want to do the work, they don't want to have to explain what they're doing, and that's just that doesn't work.
And I mean, in saying that, I'm just thinking about what you said earlier, like, that trust factor, because you really are,
Yeah.
I mean, you really are in an intimate relationship with your bookkeeper, because
Yes.
they in all your
Absolutely.
business, like all of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So having that trust factor, one, that person is going to, act as a partner with you, but
Right.
two, knowing that there's no stupid question.
Exactly. Right.
Because a lot of
Right.
times, because we're intimidated by something, or because we're
Mhm.
not knowledgeable about something, we have questions, but we don't ask the question because we're
Right.
scared that person is going to judge us for not knowing. But
Exactly.
they're there for you.
That's right.
They're
That's
there
right.
to support you, and don't feel like that. Don't feel like that. And if they make you feel like that, again, like Crystalynn said, look, that ain't, you
Run.
might want to, it might be that breakup moment. It might be time for the breakup if
That's
they,
right.
make you feel that way. But
Yeah.
they're there to support you in this process, and they can't answer the question that you don't ask. So,
Right.
if they don't know you
True.
have that question, they can't answer it. Or
Right.
sometimes we may not be able to articulate the question, but just, just say,
Mhm.
I really don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you have to say. And then definitely that person, like I said, should be able to answer the question. And if it's just not answered to your liking, or in some cases, they may not even know the answer, which is, again, a scary thing. And so it would be time for you to start looking for someone else, for sure.
And that just brings me to a point, because I know we've had a previous episode where we had a bookkeeper on, and she brought up this point. I'm gonna bring it up again, of also
Hmm.
understanding the background of your bookkeeper
Hmm.
or your CPA, because everybody doesn't do everything.
True.
And
True.
so you
Yeah.
need to, understand, does this person work with small businesses? Are they familiar with that? Are they, familiar with, maybe
Right.
you're in a unique industry, are they familiar with
Hmm.
that? Like, don't be
Right.
afraid to ask those questions. And I know for me, when somebody approaches me with something and that's not my thing, I have zero problem being like, you know what, I don't do that. But, you know,
Right.
Kelly down the street, she does that. reach out to her, and I think
Exactly.
that most professionals operate in that same way. Like, I don't want to create a situation where, we're, kind of like, not, I don't want to say bumping heads, but like just where we're struggling through something when there's a
Yeah.
solution that's tailor made for you.
Exactly. And that's a great example. I actually am a CPA. Like you said, I'm a licensed CPA, but I don't do tax prep work. I don't do taxes at all. I don't keep up with taxes. And that's just something that I've chosen not to do. But I have great, colleagues that I partner with that I refer my clients to. So I'm not going to pretend like I know the tax law or pretend like I can do a tax return, which I can, but I've just chosen to no longer offer that service. And so that's a great example of trying to find out what is it that this person does and doesn't do so that if you need to actually engage another professional for, this thing here or that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes it's a collaboration, you do this part
Mm-hmm.
and there's another person that does that part, and that's fine
Yes.
too, because you may
Yes.
have a tax person, but they don't do the day-to-day bookkeeping side of things, because
Exactly.
we all have
Yeah.
the things that we like and love to do, like I love to
Mm-hmm.
do big events. I love to do like,
Mm-hmm.
corporate events, conferences, that type of thing. I don't like doing bouquet delivery. I will refer you to someone that loves it. I have a colleague that
Exactly.
absolutely loves doing that, and I
Yeah.
will happily refer you to her because that's
Yeah.
just not my thing.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
So, what would be the most common mistake that you see a business owners making in regards to their finances or QuickBooks, bookkeeping?
Mm-hmm. I would just say the number one mistake that I see over and over again is the commingling of business and personal accounts. So, of course, when you're starting out, you're using more than likely people are using their personal account to pay for business expenses, and you're using your personal credit card to pay for, business expenses. And we all start out that way. I started out that way, so I get it. But at some point, you've got to separate it. It's just, it's as simple as opening up a business bank account, right? A checking account and a savings account. And even if in the beginning, many of us, myself included, my business was my side hustle. I still had a full time job when I started my business. And I used part of my paycheck that I was getting from that job to fund my side hustle, right? Which eventually became, my full time business. And so when you're doing that, it makes sense because you're like, well, everything is just in one pot right now. So what's the point? Right. And it does make sense. But at the end of the day, the reason why it's important for you to separate everything out is because you'll never know how your business is doing if it's all commingled in with your personal life as well. And so you separate things out. And even if that means withdrawing money from your personal account and making it a deposit into your business account to pay for business expenses. Another thing I like to advise my clients to do is to apply for a credit card, whether it's personal or a business card, but only use that card for business expenses. So you've got one source of truth for expenses, and you're not looking at 3 or 4 or 5 different statements trying to compile the money you spent for your business, especially at tax time, and so just try to do that. I say be responsible with credit cards because, I get it. But a lot of credit card companies in the beginning, they'll give you a low introductory rate or a 0% for at least the first 12 months or so, if you have decent credit. But I just see too many businesses that come to me, and I'm not even talking about people that have just started up. I mean, they've been in business for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and they still have commingled funds. It's just a no-no. If you ever get audited, the IRS will penalize you greatly for that.
And look, that's
Yeah.
somebody I don't ever want to be in trouble with. Try to keep Uncle Sam out of my business.
Yes.
I
You know
don't
what's
want
so
no
funny?
smoke. I don't want to.
What's so funny is my mom worked for the IRS for 20 years. And she moved up to the position where those people that actually go out to people's homes and confiscate their property to pay for their tax bill.
Oh, Jesus, man.
So she came home with all kind of stories. So
Wow.
can you imagine as a young child growing up, and she would come home and tell us these stories. So I've always like made sure that I did whatever I could to keep
Look,
those people from knocking on my door.
yeah, look,
Okay?
I don't want that visitor at all.
Mom said,
But
never ignore the IRS. If you get a letter, call them. Just call.
no. But you know, I think that that's such great advice about the commingling because outside of Uncle Sam coming knock at that door, which we don't want, none of us want.
No,
Um,
no.
but also I think it makes you more mindful of your business and your business expenses because
Mm-hmm.
when a lot of times, especially when we're in that side hustle phase, we are not thinking about that money that we, as long as there's money there,
Yes.
we just feel like everything is fine. And we're not
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, I'm putting this much of my own personal money to keep this business afloat.
Right.
And then when we do decide we want to take this full time, we don't have a realistic picture of how it looks because
Mm-hmm.
we're not, we're not accounting for all of this money that we're personally pouring into the business.
Exactly.
And I can
Exactly.
remember
Mm-hmm.
seeing, like, I saw this on Facebook and my heart just dropped and I didn't even know how to respond to the post, but this lady posted in an events group. Her and her
Mm-hmm.
sister had been in business 20 something years and
Okay.
had never turned a profit.
Oh, ouch.
And that
Yeah.
just hurt me to my core because I'm like, you know, 2 years,
Right.
5 years.
Right.
But I'm like,
Exactly. 20
like,
years. Yeah.
that's a long time. And I'm sure there was a lot of fear of the numbers, not, paying attention, pouring
Yeah.
personal money into the business, not, all of those
Absolutely.
things. And
Yeah.
we got
Yeah.
to have clarity because, you know, I know if I got to put my money in the beginning, of course you do, but as you
Mm-hmm.
continue, if I have to keep
Mm-hmm.
putting my money in, then something's not right on this side that I have to
Exactly.
really
Exactly.
pay
Yeah.
attention to.
Right.
So, we really do need to be mindful, even if you're not at the stage of a QuickBooks yet, or, that
Mm-hmm.
you're, still trying to separate those funds. I
Mm-hmm.
love that tip
Absolutely.
of putting everything on one card so that you can at least have an accurate
Keep track.
record of what's
Yep.
happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the thing is too, by keeping the funds commingled, like you said, you never really know if that business is going to be able to stand on its own because you continue to be able to manage the expenses because you're getting paid every week or every 2 weeks. And so money is still coming in. So as far as you're concerned, you're good. But it's just not reality. And then I'll take it a step further. The other reason why you want to keep track of what you're investing in your business is so that one day maybe you'll actually be able to get paid back from the business, right? The money that you put into it, right? Or what if someone comes to you and they say, hey, I want to be your partner. I want to invest in your business. Oh, by the way, how much have you invested in this business? You're not going to be able to answer that question if you're not keeping track of it. You're just not. So there's just a number of reasons why you should do that. It's never too early to have separate business accounts for your business. Never too early for that.
And then I think like the legitimization piece, legitimizing that business, because
Yes.
one, just because it's its own statement, having everything
Yeah.
legitimate is its own statement to yourself and to your customers. But
Right.
two, think about with COVID, and I'm here in Louisiana, so we have storms and all these other things like that, where
Right.
what happens is with COVID, there was money and funding out there, but you needed to be able to pull that P&L. You need to be able to pull
Absolutely.
reports that come out of QuickBooks to get that
Yes,
money.
ma'am. Yep.
You needed to be able to pull that. And there were so many on top of the government money. There was so much other money out there from, agencies, all kind of grant money was
Grant
available
money.
during that time.
Yeah.
But you had to be
Absolutely.
able to pull documents showing
That's right.
your business and where it stood prior to all of this. And,
Right.
if you don't have that set up, now you're
Yep.
scrambling, you're in need of this money, but now you're scrambling, trying to piece this together.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was, definitely reassuring to be able to just hit a button and a report come out and you
That's
meet
right.
the requirements needed, because a lot of that
Yeah.
money, it was, first come, first serve. And
Right. Exactly.
you still sitting in the back trying to carry the two. And somebody else is able to pull that report and,
Right.
and do what they need to do. I know, here when it was like I think it was the BP oil spill, there were a lot of companies that like, shrimpers and all kind of different those industries that lost massive amounts of income.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get the funding because a lot of them are cash businesses and, are not keeping the records and stuff like that. So they can only fund you based on what information you had
You
previously
have.
submitted.
Yeah. Right.
And so, you
Exactly.
might have made you might make 100,000 a year, but you've been submitting that you make 25. So
Exactly.
they gonna pay you on
That's
that
right.
25.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's another, when it comes to funding, like you said, you're missing out on grants and funding from the government. You're missing out on so many things like loans that you could even get, like a small business loan, possibly. And that's their way of weeding out the people who they look at as legitimate businesses versus what they would call someone who just has a hobby. Right. And that's the bottom line. It's like, do you have a business or is this just a hobby? And that's how they do it.
Yeah. And then they're also going to be, if you haven't looked at those numbers, and they looking at them, this is the first time you're looking at them when you're trying to get a loan or trying to get funding. And they're like, you're not making no money with this business.
Exactly.
So, it again, I feel like that's the power of the numbers. Like, don't, I know a lot of people feel like, have that moment of shame, that, I'm not where I thought I was, or I'm not doing as well as I thought I was. But, it's that shame moment is not really serving you. We all start somewhere. We all have something that, we need to be doing better at, that we can improve upon, and take it as a moment of, what? This is being put in front of me, and now I have this opportunity to do better. We can't go back and undo what we didn't do right before.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Replaying it is not going to solve anything. So let's start fresh today and say, you know what? I want to make sure that the way I move forward is better.
Right.
And
exactly.
And
Yeah.
when we talked before this, one of the things that you were saying about, people being comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you bring to the table, I promise you that Crystalynn has seen before.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You're not the
Yeah.
first person that money is
Mm-mm.
commingled. You're not the first person
Mm-mm.
that's out here selling stuff thinking that they're being profitable and they're not. You're not
Right.
the, first person that, invested heavily in their business. None of these
Right.
things you're not the first and you're not going to be the last.
That's right. That's right.
Don't carry it in shame. Just know that, you know, there's someone that can help you and there's someone that can get you to a better understanding and help you get to a better space.
Yes. And now that you have the information and you know better, it's just time to do better.
That's it.
It's never too late to get on the right path. Never. It's just not. And that's why when people come to me or my clients come to me, I offer them, a 30-minute complimentary consultation. Fill out this intake form so I can learn a little bit more about your business. Let's sit down and talk, and let's figure out what the best path is for you to get on the right track here. I mean, I've seen it all. There's probably nothing I haven't seen. And so, yeah, you're not alone and there's no shame in it. And I try to just tell my clients there's no judgment either. Because at the end of the day, what good would it for me to do that? It's like if you don't, I mean, if you were doing everything perfectly, then I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't be needed. So I
Right.
actually
Right.
rely on people who need
Right.
my help. It's that simple. So I am not going to make you feel bad or ashamed because it doesn't make sense. It's like, no, you came to me. I'm the expert in this, and let me help you get there. Absolutely.
No, and I absolutely love that. And just from the moment I met you, it was just like, this is a person I feel comfortable having that conversation. And that's why,
Right.
I try to bring, experts to the table, not just to share their knowledge, but
Mm-hmm.
because
Right.
I know that sometimes, venturing out for help can be intimidating. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
we're retarded, that we gotta tough it out and we gotta do all these things. And so asking for help is hard and
Yeah,
it can be
yeah,
challenging. And it's reassuring when you know that the person that you're talking to is caring. The person that you're talking
yeah.
to it's a safe space, no judgment zone. That
Right, right.
person, feels like family, looks like me. Those things matter. People don't
Yeah, yeah.
realize how much those things matter, but they really do because, again, we talking about a very intimate situation. You are in my finances.
Absolutely.
Like,
Right, right.
they have some people that are married that don't share finances.
Exactly.
So, I mean, look,
Absolutely.
I don't
So
know how much
true.
more intimate we could get.
Exactly. Yep. You
But
are
so
exactly right.
it's just it's important for me to share that with other people when I meet great people like that I'm just
Yeah.
like, look, I know it may be intimidating, but
Right.
at least it's kind of like when you go to a networking event. It's always a little bit easier when you see somebody that
Yes.
it just makes you feel a little bit better when you see somebody that
Yep.
you see a smiling face and
Yep.
okay, it's gonna
Yeah.
be okay.
It's gonna be all
It's
right.
gonna be okay.
Exactly.
Because we know, Lord knows, when we get into these numbers and especially when we're trying to figure out this QuickBooks, we
Yes,
we start
exactly.
feeling some sort of way. So we got help, y'all. We got help.
Yes, 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 definitely. It's not as bad as you think, I promise. It's not.
And it's usually not. That's the thing. We build up things in our heads so
Yeah,
much. And I can think
absolutely.
of so many different things that I was just like, Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then I finally got the courage to do the thing. And then I'm just like, so you mean to tell me it took me 4 years to do this thing that took 5 minutes? Like
Exactly.
really, like honestly, if that would happen. Like,
Yes,
so we
exactly.
we gotta get that fear girl and tell her go sit in the back seat because she always trying to run stuff and she always wrong. She's
Exactly.
loud and she wrong. We just have to venture because I mean,
Yeah,
the thing is, what's the worst thing that can happen? You know what I'm saying? Go
exactly.
and, step into the space. If you feel uncomfortable, you can always step back out, but
Right.
go and
Right.
see, and before you let something build up and then
Hmm.
it realize that it's not that deep, or before you get into your feelings about, oh, well, it's been 10 years and I
Right.
don't want anybody to think X, Y, and Z about me. There's somebody sitting right next to you that has been 10, 20. I told you the lady said
Hmm.
20, I think it was 22 years.
Hmm. Yep. Exactly.
And you're not alone. There's no situation that you've gone through that someone else has not also experienced. So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And in that case, a lot of times when we're afraid to do something, we just actually have to do it afraid.
that part.
And then once you take that first step, then you're able to take another step. And before you know it, the fear is gone because, you realize, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
I
I'm still here.
I talk about all my like
Mm,
emotions as individual personas. And
right.
fear, she got a big bark,
Hmm.
but she ain't got
Indeed.
no bite. So sometimes you got to stun on her.
Right.
Sometimes you have to turn around and say, girl, well, we just did it and we didn't die.
Exactly.
And then, like you said, then she starts to humble herself as she sees you progress,
That's right.
but we
That's
have
right.
to, fear has a purpose. It's to keep us
Hmm.
from dying,
Hmm.
but we're not about to die all the time. So she doesn't get to talk all the time. We have to learn how to
Right.
put her back in her place.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
you only get to vote on matters of life or death. Like outside of that, you just get to sit in the back seat. So,
Exactly.
we have to really start to take that back. And I think that this is one of the ways, because I
Hmm.
know once you start talking about this, portion of business,
Right.
people start
Yeah.
backing up. They don't want,
They do.
they don't want to venture in. So,
Right. Yeah.
um, one thing I want to ask you is, for those who now feeling brave, they got a little courage in them and they ready.
Right.
What would be your best tips for someone that's ready to venture in? They're ready to, get their QuickBooks set up and start
Hmm.
moving in the right direction.
Hmm. Yeah. So what I would say is, as I mentioned, I offer a 30-minute complimentary consultation for new clients. And so I always recommend that folks book that. And then we talk through what the best path is to get your books set up properly. I have coaching consultations that I do with my clients who are located all over. So I'm not just limited to Texas. I have clients in California, in Ohio, and many other states. And so we meet like this over Zoom, and they share their desktop, and I walk them through learning how to use the product um, properly. And so there's a couple things. I can do the setup and then I'll walk you through how to maintain it, or I can actually walk you through the setup and maintenance if that's something that you want to learn, which I have some clients that are like that. And so that's what I would recommend, because what people don't realize is the initial setup is key. That is going to determine if your reports are going to be accurate. Is the setup good, right? And so it's important to have someone who knows QuickBooks and knows what they're doing to set things up properly. Even if you can't afford to have that person maintain it, have them set it up, have them train you. And then what I will typically do for my clients who do their own bookkeeping is I'll do a quarterly review. I'll say, hey, every 3 months, let me take a look at your books and see if there's any issues that I feel need to be fixed. Because what happens is when you get to the end of the year, if you're doing that on a regular basis, then tax time is not going to be this stressful sprint to gather everything from the last 12 months and get it to the tax person, right? You've got everything in QuickBooks. Someone's been reviewing it for you quarterly. And so that last quarterly review happens in January. And then you don't have to go and sit in the tax person's office. You can say, hey, let me give you access to my QuickBooks, because you can give a tax prep person just limited access where they can just run reports. That's it. They can't make any changes. And so they can run all the reports they need to complete your tax return. But at the end of the day, setup is key. So you have to do that. But what about the people who are already set up and the books are a hot mess right now? Not saying there are anyone out there like that, but just in case. There's hope for you as well. So you still book the initial consultation. I'll go through your books and review them. And again, we'll talk through the best path to get everything cleaned up and then decide how you want to move forward. I can do the bookkeeping for you, or I can teach you how to do it properly yourself. So again, it's never too late to get it right.
No, and that is great to hear, assuring, and even just the piece that you said about, just being able to turn it over to the tax preparer. Like, tax time is stressful for business owners. That is a stressful thing. Yes. And to be able to alleviate that stress and just say, here, fix in. I mean, exactly. Set yourself up for success. Sometimes we don't want to stop and pause and do that foundational work, but that foundational work makes everything else easier. Like, once you have it set up, then that's one less stressor on you as a business owner to try to figure out what's going on. You have it set up, and I love the fact that you do training as well, because then, when I, go in there and I'm not like, I ain't messing nothing up, and I know what I'm getting out, because we like to touch buttons, and I mean,
right.
Look,
very, very true.
I work with a lot of people a lot of times that have, that struggle with tech. I wholeheartly believe that that's a mindset, because I've been able to help people get over that hurdle of, tech. But one thing that I know that people do a lot of times is we like to click, but we don't like to listen. So we didn't click on 12 things and move some stuff around, and we not really where it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to, I'm not bad with that with tech, but there's certain things that, like, if I get a new gadget, it better come with that little picture that say 1, 2, 3. If it come with long instructions, I give it to my husband, because my attention span is just not there in that way. And he's like, if he knows something new is coming, he's like, don't touch it. He knows I'm gonna look at it and be like, it seemed like you should do, and he's like, don't touch it, because now I gotta try to figure out what you did and undo
right. Yes, that's very true. But what I usually tell my clients is there's nothing that you can do in QuickBooks that I can't fix.
Right.
But what you said is absolutely right, because I'll be in a session with a client, and mind you, my clients are driving. So it's funny because I catch them off guard, because they're like, oh, okay, so you're going to share your screen and I'm going to watch you? Nope. You learn by doing.
Right.
So you're going to share your screen and I'm going to talk you through things. Well, I'll be telling them or giving them some instruction, and a notification will pop up and they'll just click. I mean, hold on.
Like,
we need to read this.
What did it say? You just didn't click yes or no. You don't know what it is.
Just ignoring
I'm just like,
don't do that. Yeah. Then I go into my teacher mode. Don't do that. Stop.
That's when my control
I'll
issues.
say,
that's when I work on myself constantly, but that's when my control issues come in because I'm just like, I want to tape your hands down. Like, stop it.
yes.
Don't move until I say a thing. Wait till I finish, process it, and then do that thing. Don't do no extra things.
Well, I have to catch myself because a lot of times I want to say, move away from the mouse. Put your hand away from the mouse and listen to me. But you have to be careful. You can't talk to adults like that. So it's just kind of like, I just kind of joke around, like, stop. We have to read these notifications. These are important.
Right. No, because I mean, you do, like, you have to understand, because sometimes, I mean, they have those big old red X's for a reason. They're like, this can't be undone. Like,
right.
Like, but it is just kind of changing that mindset and slowing down a little bit more and getting that greater understanding. Because I think once you understand, then it's like you're more delicate with how you deal with it. Because you're like, wait, this could mess up.
Right.
Like, I'ma just wait. Look, I don't know the answer to this. So I'ma just wait.
I mean, I don't want you afraid of the software, but I just want you to be more conscious about the messages that are popping up because those are typically very important.
Right. I mean, look, you might have missed $1 million just because you just want to click too fast. They might have been giving away money. You don't know. Read the thing. But yeah, no. And it is funny in that process of like learning, but I love that you are like teaching and training on top of just it being there, because I think that that's a part of the fear as well. When we don't know, we have fear about things. The more we know, the more we can overcome that fear.
Yes, absolutely.
So you sent me something and a nice card, and I love cards. I love cards. So I was like, oh, I got a card. I would be remiss not to talk about this. You sent me.
Got my book.
So can you tell me a little more about this lovely? Oh, I love a guide, and I love how this is laid out. I'm gonna just tell you that. Like, I love.
Oh, awesome.
I could, because I feel like oftentimes, things get too wordy. There's graphics in between the words, and some people are visual learners, some people textile, you cover both, and it's easy to understand.
Yeah, and that's always my goal is that's the 4th edition of my book, Mastering QuickBooks. So the first one came out in 2020, and now we're on the 2023 edition. But it is a how-to guide on how to use QuickBooks Online for small businesses. And so my perspective was, this is going to be, I'm writing this for the small business owner that has no accounting or bookkeeping background at all, and they don't have the money to hire someone to set QuickBooks up for them. They can take this book and go step by step from each chapter and set up QuickBooks and understand how to use it. And so that was my goal with the book. It's actually been an Amazon bestseller for each edition. And so, yes, it is available on Amazon, but it's also available on my webpage that you're going to share at the end. It's crystallynshelton.com/podcast. So for your audience, Danni, they'll get a discount. There's a discount code on there for the book. So if they go to that page, you get a discount on the book.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And guys, I do the podcast on YouTube and on podcast services. So for those of you that are listening via podcast, you can't see me keep holding up the book and smiling, but I will definitely put the link in the show notes. But I want you guys to get a copy of this book. When I used to teach, when I used to have admin staff, I had admin staff and they were much older than me and not, tech savvy. And I used to teach, there was a series for the Microsoft products called Step by Step. And this reminds me of that, format. And so that with that book, I was able to increase the capacity of, people who were struggling with learning. And so that's why when I opened it, I was like, so I'm very excited about this. And me and Crystalynn have talked, and I don't know if all of the listeners know, but I do have a business book club, and we are going to feature this book as one of our books for the book club. And Crystalynn has said that, we're going to work with her schedule and have her as a part of that experience. So I will share more information about that in the show notes, but I just want y'all to look out for that. But in the meantime, get the book. So you can get ready, so you can start reading it, so you can, start getting your questions together, because, now not only do you have this great book that's going to be helpful for you to, do the step-by-step. I'm trying to see if I can, if y'all can see, the pages where you can actually see some of the, some of the steps and the screens and everything. So you know what you're looking at. On the screen is here in this book. So I just can't think of a better combination of having the book present and then having the author of the book, who's a top 100 pro advisor, there to answer questions. So
yes, I'm excited about the book club too, Danni.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this because, when do you get that opportunity? You know what I'm saying? And especially something that people are struggling with. So
yeah, absolutely.
Get the book. Yeah, go out there and get the book. Even if you don't participate with us in the book club, just go get the book so you can get your stuff together.
Yes,
because
please.
I mean, if look, you got to have the money stuff together. If you don't have that together, that is the indicator of how your business is doing. So we want to make sure we're getting that together. And like we said before, it don't matter where you are right now.
That's right.
We're gonna start from where we are, and we're gonna do better moving forward. So get your copy, go to the link, you get a discount code too. I mean, what else do y'all want? Go ahead and get the book. And then on top of that, you can schedule that 30-minute consultation.
Yep, absolutely.
Take advantage of the resources that are out there. And, the beauty of things like that is you get to know the person that you're going to be working with. So it's an opportunity to, to see, are you a fit, because we just said it's an intimate relationship.
Yep, absolutely.
And you've gotten to experience Crystalynn here. Experience her on that call so that you can get that connection and you can feel more comfortable, because again, I think, with finances, we shy away from a lot of stuff because we don't feel comfortable. We feel intimidated. We're used to seeing, the suits and the, and the this and the that, and we don't realize that those are just people.
Yep, absolutely.
And, we want to have that kind of relationship. And so, I know Crystalynn has the suits. I know she does. I'm looking at a beautiful picture on the cover of the book, but today she's here with us in her pajamas, and it's just something about somebody that's gonna get comfortable with you. That it's just a different type of relationship. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think, before we do our wrap-up questions, I do want to ask you, is there anything else that you really want to that, I would be remiss if I didn't say this thing about, QuickBooks and small business owners?
I would just say, I mean, the main thing that I just want to stress is that get help to set, QuickBooks up. I can't stress that enough because a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, you can absolutely set it up on your own, but the problem is you don't know what you don't know. And the beauty of having someone like me walk you through it is I can help you set it up so that it works for your specific business. So we're talking about customizing it just for you. And so that's the beauty of having this one-on-one versus you signing up for a QuickBooks workshop and going to sit in there, and they're going to give you the general view of how people use it, but it won't be custom for your business. And so it's real important that you invest in doing that if at all possible. So yeah, that's probably my last thing I would say on that.
And I look, that's probably the best thing, because again, your foundation makes a difference. What
Yeah.
how you set it up, every part of your business. And I think, that's the part that for me as a business coach sometimes is really hard, is that everybody wants to avoid that foundational work.
Yeah.
But the foundational work is what allows you to work with ease.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because your
It sets you up for
foundational work,
success.
it sets you up for success, and
Yeah.
it continues to bring you success.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
you're out there working so hard and pushing so hard, but the answer was
Yes,
in that work that you keep avoiding.
exactly. Yep. Very well said. Yep. Absolutely.
So I'm gonna wrap up because we could go all night, and I know that we're gonna meet again when we get into
Yes,
this book.
ma'am.
So I'm gonna save a little bit for that experience. But as we wrap up, I have 3 questions I ask all of my guests. So I'm gonna get right into those. The
Mhm.
first one is, tell me about your favorite pair of pajamas.
So this question is taking me back to my childhood. I'm probably gonna be telling my age a little bit too.
That's okay.
But my first or my favorite pair of pajamas was basically a Winnie the Pooh set. I was a big Winnie the Pooh person growing up, and I wanted pajamas all day long if my mom would let me.
I am
And I'll
such
never forget.
I am such the Winnie the Pooh fan. So that is like,
Are you?
oh my goodness, like absolutely. Like I still have the Winnie the Pooh that my mom gave me from when I was 2 years old. I still have it.
Oh my
Um
goodness.
when, like, if we evacuate for storms and stuff like that, it's coming with me.
It's
Like
coming.
one time my son was playing with it and the ear ripped, and I, as a grown woman, called my grandmother in the middle of the night and was like, his ear ripped, you have to sew it, because I don't know how to sew. I have no sewing skills whatsoever. And she was just like, I know you're not serious. And I'm like, but I
Right.
am. I'm on my way right now. I'll be there in a second.
Okay.
Like, it is serious. No, yeah, I
Love it.
love, like, Winnie the
I
Pooh is
love
like my
it.
absolute favorite. So that is so funny to me.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Goodness. All right. So finish this sentence for me. My time freedom allows me to.
Travel with my husband
Awesome.
of 29 years, might I
Oh,
add.
wow.
We're going to celebrate 30 years next year. I was like, wow, I've been with you a long time.
Right. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, so we try to do a tropical vacation because I love the water. And then we do a stateside every year. I mean,
Okay.
COVID aside, but we just recently took our first cruise to
Okay.
the Bahamas, and it was
Oh, wow.
amazing. Like the best
Awesome.
vacation I've ever been on, and we had never been on a cruise before.
We did our first cruise right before COVID. So like 2019, the summer of 2019,
Mhm.
we did our
Okay.
first cruise. And I was like very nervous about it because me, my husband, and my son are, pretty much introverted. And I was like, that's a lot of people in a, like, a
So
closed space. And I don't know how this is gonna go, but we really enjoyed it. It was a really, really good
Yeah.
vacation. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I was like, oh, and then the world shut down. I was like, okay, well, I guess it'll be a minute before I go on another cruise.
Yeah, it was really relaxing. And our cruise supposedly was like a small version because it was only about 2,500 people. But I just think everyone's very well spread out. So it didn't
Yes.
feel like that.
Yeah, that's
So
how I felt
it was
too.
great.
That's how I
Yeah.
felt too. Yeah, yeah, I was very nervous. I was like, no, I can't get off the boat if I don't like it, right? But
Up with
but
these
it was a
people,
great
huh?
experience. But I love that. I love to travel, so I love that that is one of your like pluses of time freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what is the best advice that you could give anyone that's seeking the profits in pajamas lifestyle?
So, the best advice that I can give is, and this is something that I've had to learn, is that, and we talked about this actually earlier, Danny, is that you can't go it alone and grow. You just can't. We all start out doing everything and wearing all these hats because, we have to, right? We can't afford to hire, people usually in the beginning. But I would say that as soon as you can, start building your team. Okay. And one of my favorite people, I just really discovered her a couple of years ago, and you probably know her or have heard of her, is Rachel Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rachel Rogers' book, We Should All Be Millionaires, I would say pick it up. It's a terrific book for anyone who, especially a woman and especially a woman of color, who is starting a business, trying to grow a business, trying to, um, you know, make it happen at the end of the day. Her book and what she taught in that book about she calls it $1 million squad, building your
Mm-hmm.
squad. It's just amazing how much time can be freed up from your schedule if you can delegate administrative tasks, for example, to a virtual assistant. Or instead of me sitting here connecting bank accounts to the QuickBooks files, my accounting intern can do it. I would say build a squad. It's one person at a time, but that's the only way that your business is actually going to be scalable and grow. And you don't have to shoot for $1 million business, but just for your business to have any growth, you're not going to be able to continue to wear all the hats and wear them well.
Mm-hmm. Lord
I'm sure
Jesus.
you can attest to that.
No, you really can't. And I did a talk in March. I did a talk for my ABWA chapter, and it was about tips for growth as a solopreneur. And I gave several tips, and I teach a lot about systems and automation, but
Yeah.
where it ended was there's really no such thing as a solopreneur because it takes a
True.
village. It takes a village. You need your network. You need your support
Yep.
system. You need business professionals. You
Yeah.
need, and at some point you need a team. You
Yep.
need all of
Yeah.
those things to continue to grow. And even
Mm-hmm.
if you are a team of one, you still, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it just doesn't make sense to
Yeah.
continue to operate in the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Somebody else gonna bake them cookies, and somebody else gonna, even if they're not on your payroll,
Right.
they
Right.
can still be an outside vendor. Somebody else can do
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
some of those things that you don't want to be doing anyway.
Right. Exactly. Yep. You got to
But
spend your time growing the business,
right.
and that you can't do that if you're doing everything.
No, no.
Unless you're
And
going to stay up 24 hours, 7 days a week, and then you're still not going to be able to physically do it.
I like my naps. So somebody else, that's what's that the new phrase, get somebody else to do it. Somebody else have to
Mm-hmm.
do something.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
have to start creating that type of balance in your life. You can't
Yeah.
You can't do it all, and you're not trained or versed to do it all. You
Right.
know that might not be your skill set. That might not be your
Right.
talent, but it's somebody else's.
Yeah.
And pay for the convenience. I told you I'm
Yes.
over the DIY part of my life. I will write a
You and me
check.
both.
Good. I will write a check in a minute for someone else to do it because I can't buy more time.
Right.
Well, I
Exactly.
can by getting somebody else to do it, but I can't in
Right.
the sense of I can't make time. So
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
time that I'm taking trying to get over the learning curve of something, I could have just hired
Yeah.
somebody that already know the answers.
Exactly. And you're not going to do it as good as they can do it, regardless of how much
No,
time we invest in it, because that's their gift.
it's
That's
not
what
only
they
their
do.
gift, but they have allotted time for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're not
That's so
doing
true.
12 things. They're doing one thing, that thing that you don't want to do. So they have
Right.
time. You don't have
Right.
time when you're trying to carry all those things.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I
Yep.
think I think that is great advice. So tell me about what you have coming up that we can get into, we can be a part of. What do you have for the audience?
So, what I have coming up is the launch of my online course. So, this is
Mm.
something my clients have been asking me for a long time now. And, it's really ideal for people who they don't really have time to meet with me during business hours because they're working on their business. But they might have, time in the evening, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night to log in and learn, QuickBooks. So I've created a course that basically teaches you how to set QuickBooks up, how to record your transactions, and how to prepare for tax time. It's an online course, self-paced. I'm teaching you. It's video based, and so you can watch a 5-minute video to learn how to do something on your phone, on your mobile device, on your computer. And then what's nice about it that I've added is a private community that goes with that. So as you're learning how to do things, if you run across something that you don't understand and you have a question, you can go to the private community and I will answer your questions there. And so it's me, and I have some other QuickBooks experts that can answer your questions as well. So that course is going to launch on May 7th, and it's
Oh.
going to be at a special price for that first launch week until the 14th, May 7th through the 14th. And then it goes to regular price after that. But I would say that that's something I definitely am proud of. It's my latest project. And they can actually find it on that crystallynshelton.com/podcast page. The other thing that your listeners can do now is I have a checklist on that page, and the checklist is your first 7 days in QuickBooks. So
Mm.
if you're thinking about purchasing QuickBooks, you can download that checklist for free. There's also a discount code on there where you can purchase QuickBooks for 30% off for the first 3 months.
Okay.
So it can save you some money. And so I would say that definitely go to that page. That page, you can book an initial consultation with me as well. So, yes.
That is awesome. So I look, she better have all kind of clicks on this page because it's everything, like everything is here. So you have a
Yes. One
checklist, you
stop
got a
shop.
discount on QuickBooks, you got a discount on the purchase of the book. I mean, everything. You can book a consultation all on this one page. If y'all don't click on this page, I don't know, something wrong with y'all. I'm just gonna it because it's just so much there. And
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that, sometimes we don't realize that things are income producing. We think about, when somebody swipes a card, that's an income producing thing. But,
Right.
having your money and your money affairs in order is, huge for you being able to generate income and know what's going on with it. So
Right.
I need y'all to go to this page. Like I just do. Like I don't want to have to come knocking on doors. why are you not on this page? Because what I do know is, I constantly get people, with questions about QuickBooks and how to set it up, or that they don't know what's the right, accounting software for them, or where, what to do next.
Right.
These are your answers.
Yes,
All your
exactly.
answers, like all your
Yeah.
answers are here. You have the course coming up, and I want y'all to jump over there, and be waiting up like y'all wait up for the Beyonce tickets
Okay.
to get in this course and get that discount to get in the course, because
Yes.
it's nothing like having the information. You can stop, the video and sit and ponder on it, come back. You can do all of those things. And then to have a community that you can go to ask questions. Like, I don't know what else y'all want. I mean, it's just served up on a silver platter. I don't even know what else. I don't even know what else to say. So that link is definitely going to be in the show notes. So I want you guys to go there. I want you to make yourselves even more familiar with Crystalynn. And I want to thank you for, coming on here and, being so authentic, sharing the tips that you shared with us, but also, I mean, you just opened up everything to us. Like, you coming on the book club and, offering your services, for people to have these consultations. And I appreciate it. I know this is recorded, so we don't hear from the audience until later, but I know that it'll be greatly appreciated by the audience. But I just want to thank you for, being that person, being caring, and making sure that our community is getting themselves together financially.
Well, thank you so much, Danni, for having me on the show and for trusting me with your audience. I absolutely hope that even if it's just one person I've helped that's listening, it's worth it to me, because at the end of the day, that's what I wanted to help small business owners, to help people realize, hey, you've got resources. That old saying goes, I don't know if it was a commercial or something, or they used to say, oh, I've got people. You've got people. Okay.
You got people. And look, don't say that you don't.
That's
and
right.
The thing that I've loved, about this podcast is that I get that feedback from people coming back and, talking about, the things that have been discussed, talking about the guests that have been on. And my heart wells when they say, y'all said this, and then I went and did this thing. Like, that is like the biggest, like, geek out moment for me, is because all I want to do is get you into action. Exactly. Because we receive so much information, but unless we put it into action, it's just sitting there. And I want, for you to receive it in a different way, because if that's how you need to hear it to get out there and do something, then that's how I'm gonna bring it to you, because I want you to get into action, and I want you to feel empowered. I want you to know that it's just a matter of you deciding to do it.
Yep, it's just a decision.
It's just a matter of you deciding to do it. And we got good people here to help you along the way. Cause I'm big on relationships and people. Like, I can't, if I don't feel a vibe with a person, I can't bring them to the community. But, just from the moment I met you, it just was nothing but just, I could feel your heart, and I could feel, your desire to help people. And it comes through in how the book is written. It just comes through in your actions. So I thank you for being here with us and sharing with us. Y'all go get on that link. Don't make me have to feel some sort of way, because it's just too much information being extended to you to not take full advantage.
Thank you so much, Danni. It's been fun.
Yes, I absolutely, I never thought I was going to love doing a podcast, and I absolutely love it. And I love the people I get to meet in the process. So Thank you for being here. Thank you guys for listening. Check out those show notes and make sure that you are on the lookout. I'm going to put a link in the show notes as well. But, if you're on my mailing list, your emails and everything, as we finalize what the book club is going to look like as far as reading this book and having Crystalynn come on and discuss it with us, those details will start to pour out. I don't want y'all to miss it because I'm excited.
Right.
I know, I've talked to the book club already. The current members, they're excited. Like, get yourself together. Don't miss out. Don't say, I didn't know. Are you going to do it again? Don't come with that. We telling you now. Get on it. Make sure that you're in the room and that you are getting all of the resources, and go get the book so you're ready, so you can start pre-reading, so you're ready. Don't say, oh, well, I don't have it yet. No, get the book. Come to class prepared. Don't make me have to look like my people not together. So come to class prepared, having gotten the book and read it, or at least read some of it before we get, started. So thanks again for being here. Thanks to my listeners, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with ease. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram. For more information about building your luxury brand, register for my upcoming luxury brand workshop at CoachDanniD.com.